Hi, for those of you who don't know me well enough as yet, I'm Zelna and I'm the founder of the Kids Life Studio. And today I'm really excited to bring you our mastery session for the week, which is a coaching challenges session on how, as a kids life coach, you can support children a little bit better, those children who question authority. Now, we all know those kids, right? And if I look back over the years of me coaching children since 2003, I can recall only one instance where I felt really, really scared of a child that I was coaching. And I wouldn't even say it was a child, it was a teenage boy. And everything that any adult did, he questioned. He questioned authority. He questioned me. And in the time that I met him, I learned quite a lot about why he constantly questioned everything. And it was based around one simple thing. And I'm sure that you've picked this up in your coaching practice already yourself, but it was both based around fear. He was scared and he was trying to find a sense of safety. And by finding that safety, he was able to regulate himself. Now, how he found that safety was by asking questions. So I think questioning authority is a coping mechanism that can be healthy if you manage it correctly as a kid's life coach. Many adults traditionally think that children who ask too many questions are being disruptive, disobedient, perhaps disrespectful. I want you to see a child who asks a lot of questions as a positive thing. They're trying to build a relationship with you. So the very first session that you have with the child, doesn't matter whether this child is a child who asks a lot of questions or not. It doesn't matter if it's a child who's a challenger or not. Your job is to create a very safe space. And the way to do that is in that very first initial consultation with the parents and the child is to give the child a sense of choice. When they have a sense of choice, they have control. And when they have control, they feel safer. They can trust you more. Now, remember, when a child questions authority, it's because they haven't yet established that sense of trust in you. And you can't just expect them to trust you, and you can't expect them to respect you until you have shown them that you're trustworthy and respectable. So, in your very first session, always remember to give the option to the young person that they can choose to not return to coaching if they don't want to. You do not make them make a decision there and then on the spot. You give that child the opportunity to go home after that session, after giving them all of the data, all of the information about your coaching program, the costs, the toolkits, everything that you give them. Give them the opportunity to go home, think about it, and get their parents to let you know. In all my years of doing this approach or having this approach, there's only been one child who's come back and said, no, don't want to be involved in coaching. And that was for her own reasons. And I respected that. So with this teenager, going back to him in our very initial session, oh my word, he questioned everything. And I started getting a bit defensive. Now, I want to just point that out to you. As a novice coach, you may find yourself triggered by a child who questions you because that may be a little sensitive point on your insecurity that you don't yet know enough. So I want you to remember that in all coaching sessions, irrelevant of your experience, irrelevant of your background, it is about co-regulation. And what that means is your ability to hold space for a person, a child, a parent, in this case, the challenging child who questions authority, but to hold space in such a way that you're confident and you come across as confident, not controlling. They're two different things, but you come across as confident so that the child feels safe. And that's what co-regulation is. So if the child displays questioning and abrupt behavior and they're rude, and that does happen, it's happened to me, you need to maintain your cool. You need to show the child what you expect. And that is why we have very simple rules in our coaching sessions and we place them up front, especially for children who question authority, so that they know what the parameters are for what we expect. We set those expectations. And our rule is very simply this: remember, respect. 2 words, easy to remember, easy to reinforce. So every time a child is not remembering respect, we can say to them, remember respect, remember respect, remember respect. And what that does is it's rewiring their brain to remember respect. We're not telling them, no, don't do that, do this. Just remember respect, respect for yourself, for others, and for things. And we need to lay those boundaries up front. So going back to the child who questions authority, it has a lot to do with the sense of safety and feeling safe. So I want you to see these questions as something that is a positive thing, and it's a coping strategy. So your role will be in the initial consultation to establish a sense of safety, to lay boundaries so that the child feels safe. Session 1, you're going to look at thoughts and how those impact on the way you show up. Session 2, you're going to look at feelings and how your feelings influence your external world and vice versa. The third session is where the magic happens. The child who questions authority, the third session in our coaching system at Kids Life Studio, is all about communication. And communication is also about what we don't say with our words. Now, questions and questioning authority is, you need to read between the lines. What is that child not telling you? Perhaps they're questioning you as the authority because maybe you've shown up as unprepared. And yes, that happens. I know when you have a busy coaching practice and you're a mom, or you may be holding down 2 jobs, maybe you're not very well prepared in your coaching sessions, and that leaves a child feeling unsafe. You need to be well prepared. So they may question you in those situations. So the second thing is, the child who questions authority is a child who genuinely wants to know the answers. They're curious. Now, as coaches, it is our responsibility to nurture curiosity. So if we reframe the way they ask questions, and in that communication session that we deal with that, if we get them to communicate in a better way, to ask creative questions that are not confrontational and are more assertive and are trying to obtain a certain outcome rather than trying to provoke an adult, which is something that children who've been faced with trauma sometimes do. They are so used to drama that their system seeks the familiar. And by seeking the familiar, what that could mean is if things are too calm, too stable, too consistent, they may challenge that through questioning authority, doing things to get attention, to push boundaries, all part of the coaching process. So I want you to be 100% confident that no matter which child comes your way and no matter what they are faced with, no matter the challenges they're dealing with, our coaching program strategically gives them the building blocks for making good choices. And one of those choices is how they communicate their feelings, how they communicate when they're feeling scared, how they communicate if they're feeling disgust or if they're feeling disappointment. So questions are good. Now, in adult coaching, most adult coaching revolves around the coach asking questions to the coachee. In child coaching, we don't ask too many questions. We open up the doors for the child to ask the questions, and we encourage the questioning. So a child who questions authority and who doesn't want to listen to teachers, who is rude to their parents or is rude to adults, all bad behavior is a sign of an unmet need. Your job as a kids life coach is to find out what that unmet need is and to integrate that into your coaching sessions. Your job is not to find solutions, it's for you to shine a light on the areas in the child's life that may be lacking and for them to make the choice to feel that sense of control. And it doesn't matter on age here, because we work from age 5 all the way up, and it does work better with the older children, but we give them the choice. How would they like to show up? Now, I don't know about you, but I, as an adult, question authority. If rules don't make sense to me, I question them. And that comes from my childhood. I learned to ask questions. So I want you to see this as a good thing. Questioning is a good thing. When it's reframed, it becomes a leadership capability, a leadership characteristic. And so I want you to see it as such, and I want you to frame it as such with those children who are constantly challenging authority, but in a way that gets them into trouble. Like the teenager that came into my coaching sessions many years ago, who was suspended from school for hurting a teacher and who came to me for coaching to manage his anger. What really happened was he just created a sense of safety, a sense of understanding his behavior, understanding why he behaved in a particular way, and how he could regulate that behavior and self-regulate. And that starts in the coaching session. That's what co-regulation, you showing the young person how to show up with their big feelings, allows them to then self-regulate, to go and practice that in the real world. So I don't want you to be scared of a child who questions authority. I think it's fantastic. In fact, any parent who has a child who questions authority should be proud. Because in this day and age, with everything that's going on in social media, in the news, fake news, it's good to ask questions, but it's how we ask those questions, and it's maintaining our integrity, staying true to who we are, knowing our inner compass and that intuition, what is right and what is wrong for us. So I hope that that was useful for you, and that you're grateful for the fact that you have children that ask you questions in your coaching sessions. You've got this. As a world-class kids life coach, you are not necessarily the best in the world at your coaching, but for that child that you're coaching, you're the best in the world at that moment in time. And the way to do that is to show up as authentically you, and for you to give the child the safe space to ask questions in such a way that they get the answers that they need so that they can make better choices. So I'm wishing you all the success in your coaching sessions, and I'm sending lots of love and zeal your way. If I was there and I could give you a big hug to pass on to all the children of the world, I would, but I'm not there. It's up to you to show up as an excellent role model to children, as somebody who shines a light on what it means to show up as the best version of yourself in this world. None of us are perfect. All of us make mistakes, especially children. That's how they learn and grow. So if you have a child who's questioning authority, they're learning, they're growing, they're curious. Your job is to hold their hand and to make that journey a pleasant one for them, where they can learn in a constructive way, and you can coach them to find their own answers through strategic goal setting based on a pre-assessment that we do, and looking at tailor-made outcomes for that specific child. So all the best with that. I look forward to hearing your success stories in due course.